Oh girl, oh girl, oh girl. Here you are talking about how excited you are. There is a whole community of Americans living there. It's almost like you are living in the US. And you still refuse to see that this is a fucking occupation? Tell me, where are 30,000 plus German troops stationed in 20 German bases in the USA? And another point you made about Japan. Don't forget, those two countries, Germany and Japan, were unconditionally occupied. Oh my God. When I look at your generation and how you present this as a German, cheering, oh my God, the Americans, they are in my country, this is so great. Your generation is fucking hopelessly lost. Fucking hopelessly lost. You are. Amazing. Let's listen a little bit to how you are blabbering, how brilliant is you pay not in euros, you don't even pay taxes, you pay just like in America. How does that support Germany, to give just one fucking example? Small, tiny example.
The bases are unfortunately off limits to German civilians unless they're affiliated with someone in the US military, which apparently used to be different prior to 9/11. Nevertheless, American military bases often have a significant positive impact on the local economy.
Really?
It's estimated that their presence generates a yearly economic boost of $4 billion in Germany.
Whoa!
Which, if those numbers are true, is a lot more than the amount of money that the German government spends on the American bases in terms of subsidies and the land that's provided.
In other words, the Germans should be fucking grateful and happy. Do you know how many billions it cost to the German economy that Nord Stream 2 got blown up by your lovely USA friends? Do you know the impact of that? Dear Valley.
Legally, these American military bases are still German territory
Oh,
where
really?
German law applies. But there are agreements between Germany and the US that grant the bases certain tax benefits and immunity, which as a result also means that German law enforcement can't access the bases without permission from American authorities.
In other words, if a German wants to go after an American who committed a crime, then the German police can't do shit when that American guy or that person would flee to a American base. You still want to claim it's a good thing. No, there is no reason to have any doubts about this, right? So you just mentioned they have immunity, they don't pay taxes, the land is officially Germany, but they have a deal that the Americans have immunity. Okay, let's listen to your excitement about the American presence.
Police in those regions therefore often patrol together with American military police because the German police alone wouldn't be able to enforce any laws when it comes to US military members and their families. Now,
why?
We'll talk about how Germans feel about this whole topic, what my personal opinion is, and most importantly, why people feel that way. I want to tell you about this amazing deal exclusively for my viewers from my sponsor, Private Internet Access, or short PIA. If you currently live
we go away for that.
Sometimes I can't when the website thinks that you're in a different country. And I'm sponsoring this video. Okay, so we've talked about the numbers and laws and historical background, but what do Germans think about the American military?
Well, I gave you my fucking opinion.
If you had asked me this question 8 years ago, before I ever moved to the US, I honestly wouldn't have had an opinion on this. I mean, I didn't grow up near an American military base, and I didn't have any other personal connection to this topic through a family member or anything. So this wasn't a topic that I was ever in touch with really, and there wasn't a single incident in my life where the American troops being in Germany seemed to affect me or my life in any way. Neither...
You see, and that's exactly my point. That is exactly my point. You are too young, and you grew up way after the Second World War to know the full scope how the Germans feel about it. No? You probably asked all your hipster friends on your Instagram and all the others, like you said in the start of the video. And those are pretty much, of course, the same type of people like you. Young people, misguided, thinking that their country is not occupied, right? Let's listen how you explain how it never has an impact on your life, but it did. Just think recently Nord Stream 2.
In a positive nor in a negative way. I mean, it might have on a bigger scale, but not in a way that it was ever brought up in a conversation. I don't even remember discussing this in school. I don't know if they ever did. I mean, I knew that there were American military bases, and I knew that back in the 80s there was a terrible accident on the Ramstein air base, but that's about it. It really wasn't until after I moved to the US and became part of this German-American bubble that I met people and got messages from people that used to be stationed in Germany themselves. I met German women at the American consulate in Frankfurt who had just gotten married to an American military member.
Fucking trading horse.
Army brats, so people who grew up in an American military family in Germany, and I heard about how these military settlements are truly like a little America in the middle of Germany. So I learned a lot about this topic, but to be completely honest with you, I still don't really have a strong opinion as to whether having American troops in Germany is good or bad. I can see both, the pros and the cons, and we'll talk about those, but I don't know what the best course of action would be. So I'm not of great help here, but I came across a few surveys on this topic. Two of them are from the summer of 2020, right after Trump had announced his plans to withdraw a third of the troops. This survey, conducted by YouGov for DPA, showed that almost half were in favor of the withdrawal. 25% even thought that American troops should leave Germany altogether, while about 1/3 of those surveyed thought that the American military should stay in Germany or even increase their forces. 21% didn't select an option. That would have been me probably. But then another survey that was conducted at the same time for the German magazine Der Spiegel had about half of people opposed to the withdrawal, with only 36% supporting it. So it was almost flipped, which shows that the situation really isn't straightforward, and a lot of people are conflicted about this. Now,
no, what it shows is that the propaganda machine did its work. 1/3 of the Germans don't understand the implications. They want the Americans to stay. Probably because they are A, misguided in the intentions of the Americans. B, they are so indoctrined that they love the USA and want to live there or whatever and should fuck off out of Germany. Those traitors, the same like those women who married those servicemen, those American servicemen. You are a fucking whore, just like the Second World War. Yes, that's my fucking hard opinion about it. You are a traitor to your own nation, to your own fellow countrymen. Huh? That's what you are.
Now, one aspect that German opinions were pretty clear about for a long time are the nuclear weapons that the American military stores on German ground.
Yep, nuclear weapons on German ground. And guess who controls those weapons? Germany. Has Germany any say in when, why, and how this button gets pushed? They don't. They don't. So, yes, the Americans are the biggest threat to Germany ever.
Greenpeace from 2019 and 2020 showed that 84% of Germans wanted the nuclear weapons out of Germany. In the
Did they?
survey from 2020, it was 2/3 of Germans, so a clear majority. However, a more recent survey from June of 2022, about 4 months after Russia attacked Ukraine, showed that for the first time, more than half of Germans wanted the American nuclear weapons to stay in Germany.
Again, propaganda did its work, scaring the German people about a so-called Russian invasion. For fuck's sake, use your fucking brain. Really, use your fucking brain. How would Russia be able to occupy Europe or Germany, just Germany? How? How would they be able to occupy? It's impossible. You don't have the manpower for it. You don't. And if Russia goes to war with Germany, it will be with nuclears. And you think those fucking nukes from the USA could be a reason that the Russians would nuke Germany? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That will be the only reason. Likewise for Romania, likewise for Poland, likewise for all you morons out there in Europe who have these kind of weapons of the USA on your territory. So back to your comment, you sweet little misguided girl.
And 12% even wanted them to be modernized. The number of people in favor of removing the nuclear weapons was at only 39% in this survey. The main points of criticism about the American military bases are that the German government doesn't really know what exactly is going on the bases and whether or not German law is being violated. Over the last decade, there have been numerous reports about drone attacks being controlled from Ramstein, potentially killing hundreds of civilians in countries like Yemen, Afghanistan, or Iraq. The German government has even been sued by Yemeni survivors who lost relatives in the drone strike. The first court ruled that the German government does in fact have to make sure that activities taking place on German ground follow international law, but the decision was overturned by a second court, then that was appealed, and now the case is going to the Bundesverfassungsgericht, which is similar to the Supreme Court. In addition to the drone controversy, there were headlines about NSA surveillance violations, or the case of an imam who was kidnapped by the CIA in Milan, Italy in 2003 and brought to the Ramstein airbase, from where he was transported to Egypt, where he was imprisoned and, according to his own statements, tortured. None of that is in line with German or international law. These are the incidents that have received a lot of media attention, but many Germans are afraid that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
It is.
Let's see how my German colleagues feel about this. I actually got a lot of messages from you guys. Thank you so much to everyone who reached out and shared their views and personal experiences. I'm not going to be able to read all of them to you guys, but I'll put a lot of them on the screen for you so you can just pause to read if you're interested in the details. Also, these answers are actually all from June of 2023, because that's when I first asked about this topic. It just took me a while to put together the video, but better late than never. So just keep in mind that these are from June of 2023. It might be relevant for political context. I'm going to go through some messages that are rather positive, some more negative, and a lot of people had very mixed feelings about the topic, but I particularly loved hearing about people's personal experiences with the military bases, so I'm going to start with that. Anna wrote, I was born in Bad Kreuznach, then lived in Kaiserslautern and worked for a urologist in Landstuhl, directly at the Ramstein Air Base. We had a lot of patients from the military, and everything in the region is bilingual. At McDonald's, the drive-thru says, Herzlich willkommen bei McDonald's. Ihre Bestellung bitte. Welcome to McDonald's. Your order, please. As a kid, I used to be woken up in the morning by military groups out on a run, the ones that sing or chant these songs while running. Fighter jets were completely normal for me, and then later in Lautern, the military planes from Afghanistan that brought injured soldiers and fallen heroes to Ramstein before they flew home to the States. I'm a pacifist and had to grow a thick skin whenever these planes landed, and they come
I can't watch this anymore. Really. I cannot. I watch in absolute horror, especially these last 2 years. how Germany is nothing else than a fucking vassal state to the USA. How the Germans have no backbone at all. And I'm ashamed to say this as a German, because trust me, come close to me and you will see what a fucking barbarian German really is. They snipped your balls, German guys, man, and they made you total horse, you German woman. That's the fucking truth. You have been pacified to the core. Your German ancestors would turn in their graves to see how this great nation of people has turned into meek slaughter sheep. That's my opinion. Feli from Germany. Really makes me almost puke when I see you present this so happily about, oh, we have the Americans in Germany, and what do you think about it? Is nice or not? And to be honest, I still don't know what to feel about it. Huh? And you never learned in the history in school about these topics. No. You wonder why? Because the propaganda shit, all your school books have been approved by the Americans. Your school books. Your constitution is written by the Americans. Do I really need to spell it out? You look like a intelligent young lady, but so fucking misguided. Together with your whole generation. Well, you're gonna pay the price now anyways. Unfortunately. I paid I dare to say, quite a heavy price for being born in Germany and growing up in Holland after the Second World War. They hated my guts, they hated the Germans, so growing up as the only German child in the wide area, in small town, and I can tell you that was not really to look back with love and admiration, that period. But it forced me to learn a lot about the Second World War and the First World War, because the First World War is actually the trigger for the Second World War. Those reparations that were demanded from Germany, those gave rise to Hitler and the likes. And Hitler was right. It was unfair what had happened in the First World War. And you, young person, Feli, just recently the reparations in the trillions has been paid for the First World War, and the Germans are still paying for the Second World War. The First World War they didn't even start. They were not to blame for it, yet here we are. We are talking about land grab in the Ukraine, about Russia, former Russian territories with a majority of Russian speakers. How about the former German territories who were forcefully taken away from the Germans in World War I? Do the Germans have a right to claim this territory as well back? I think so. Poland claims they want to have the west of the Ukraine again, when the Ukraine gets divided. Perhaps rightfully so, but if that's the case, then I, as a German, demand all the former territories from Germany back, taken from us in World War I. And yes, I would go to the most of extreme. If there is just a slight chance to get rid of those fucking Americans. To the most of extreme. Because I do love my Germany. And I think it's an atrocity that happened to her. And I think it's a crime that you young German people, you Germans out there, do not demand justice for Nord Stream 2 and for the occupation of Germany. Have a nice day, Feli. This is not a personal attack on you. Trust me. Like I say, you are a sweet, misguided young woman.